y'all? It's Pat from Texas Freshwater Fly Fishing again. I'm back here with another Tuesday tie. Today we're going to tie up another favorite of a lot of y'all's. Y'all probably already know, called the Rio Getter. And what we're going to tie up is a little variation that I make on it. But you need to make sure you check out Matt Bennett's videos. He's the original creator of the Rio Getter, this fly. He has some real great videos showing you how to make the original Rio Getter. My variation is going to be a little bit different. You can see what I'm going to do. And you can tie this in so many color combinations. You can tie it in olives and kind of black and brownish oranges. You can tie it in blacks and pinks, kind of like I have here. But what we're tying up today is going to be in a black and burgundy. Black and burgundy. I kind of stumbled across this burgundy color by accident. Thought I'd tie it up because it looked cool, fish it a little bit, and I had a lot of success with it. So I'll go ahead and stick with that. All right, so start with the hook, clamp it in the vise. I'm using a size 10 nymph hook today. We're gonna use some black thread and we're gonna wrap a little bit of a thread base here. About a third of the way down the hook shank, kind of like you would for a clouser minnow, okay? And we're gonna put a little bump right there about a third of the way down. And we're gonna use bead chain for our eyes today. All right, so we'll go ahead and take the bead chain, snip off a couple pieces of it, push that bead chain right up against that bump in that hook. About a third of the way down. I usually give it 4 or 5 wraps one direction, straighten my eyes out. About 12 wraps the other way, and then again another 8 wraps or so that way. Then I'll give it some circles under the eye, above the hook, under the eye, above the hook, maybe a couple more wraps. And at this point on this fly, I like to put a little super glue, just a little drop, kind of help hold that stuff in place, and then maybe make a couple more wraps in there to hold everything together. All right, take our thread, give us a good thread base all the way back to where the bend in the hook shank is. Stop there, and we're gonna tie in our tail. Like I said, we're using this burgundy and black marabou for our tail. So I'm gonna do this a little bit differently than some people. I take my marabou, trim off a few strands here. Kind of clean it up at the base of it so it'll tie in nicely. Trim that up a little bit better. There we go. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that in. We'll wrap down and then all the way back up. And then when we're wrapping back down the hook shank towards the marabou tail, I'm gonna actually go ahead and take that past where my thread base was and wrap down the bend in the hook just slightly. All right, from there, once you got the tail in there, we're gonna leave it long. I'll show you what we'll do with that in a little bit. But we'll trim that up in a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and tie in our ribbing. I use this purple wire when I'm using this burgundy tail. Looks nice, works great. And we'll go ahead and tie in our wire ribbing. Down, back up. Wrap that in there pretty good. Okay, leave it there. Then we're gonna go ahead and tie in our body. For the body of the fly, just gonna use this black dubbing. For a lot of flies that I'm tying for Rio Grande cichlids, I like to use black. I have a lot of success with black in flies for cichlids. It's a confidence thing. Hopefully it works for you too. Speaking of the Rio Grande cichlid, it is the year of the cichlid over at Texas Freshwater Fly Fishing. So make sure you go check out that stuff, the photo contests, all those kind of things. Learn about that and go check that out. We're gonna tie on a little bit of, or put on a little bit of this black dubbing for the body. And I tie my body dubbing in sections. So I'll tie a little bit there. And I'll tie it in kind of loose. I don't wrap it on the thread real tight. And you don't want to put too much dubbing on either. Okay. So go ahead and work some of that dubbing onto your thread kind of loosely. Tighter. And the second segment there. All right, cool. Stop right behind your eyes. I'm going to take our wire that we were going to use for the ribbing on the fly, and we're going to wrap evenly spaced all the way around back up to right behind the eye. Okay, so get that there. Go ahead and give it a couple wraps to lock it in place. Trim that up, and then wrap it down, lock it down pretty good. Okay. Now we're going to tie in the legs of the fly, and I do these, tie them in just a little bit different than Matt does. It's just ends up the same, but I'm just going to take some black rubber legs, and I want my leg to stop about where the end of the body is. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll kind of rotate that so you can see it a little bit. I'll hold it there. I'm going to give it 1, 2 wraps. And I'm going to take it, and on that same side, I'm just going to fold my leg back over. Give it 1, 2 wraps. And then I'm going to trim those up to where they're about even in length, and you can see that there. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Make them the same length. 2 wraps. Fold it over. 2 wraps. Trim them up. And then you can go ahead and get in there and adjust those legs how you want them to lay. Make sure they're laying in there the right way. Cool. Then what we're gonna do is go ahead and take our thread and wrap back up to the right behind the eye of the hook. Turn our fly over, and we're gonna tie in the wing. And this is where my variation is a little bit different than Matt's. He'll use the marabou again for the wing. I'm gonna go ahead, and I've been doing this for years and years. I'm gonna use some peacock herl. You can kind of see this one's dyed with a little bit of purple, matches the fly. I'm gonna use a couple strands of peacock herl for my wing, right? So what I do, I take 2 strands of the peacock herl, get them about even in length. Doesn't have to be perfect, because you're gonna see what we're gonna do with it later on. And then I'm gonna pinch them off, double them up again, trim them up, so that now I have 4 short pieces of peacock right there. Just like I would with the clouser minnow, I'm gonna go ahead and tie this in as the wing of the fly right behind the eye of the hook, and wrap it back down to the eyes, the bead chain eyes. Then I'll take the wing and I'll trim it just a little bit longer than where the point of the hook is. You can trim up that extra peacock around there, keep it clean, give it a few wraps, kind of build yourself a good triangular head, not too much. Okay, from there we're gonna add a little bit more dubbing. Okay, a little bit more dubbing. So I'll take a little bit more of my black dubbing, and then I'm gonna pick up some of these cuttings, you can see that there, left over from my marabou wing, and I'll mix that in. That's gonna give a little bit of a little burgundy pop in my dubbing here on the head of the fly. And I'm gonna wrap this in a little bit tighter, and loose, or not loose, but a little bit tighter and spaced out. And we're gonna wrap what's gonna be the head of the fly. Wrap around, I wrap around the eye, and then I'll do a couple wraps right there in front. If you have too much, just pinch it off. Give it a couple wraps. It's okay to have some little stragglers out there. I like that. And that's pretty much it. From there, just gonna give it a little whip finish. 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3 again. Suck that down. Trim it up. Put a little head cement on there, or some super glue, whatever you want to do, epoxy, whatever works for you. With this one, I'll take my bodkin, kind of work it around in there. All right, and so that's what you have right there so far, right? It's a Rio getter with a peacock herl wing. Now that tail is way too long. Like I was saying, this is for Rio Grande cichlids a lot of times, sunfish, even bass. But the sunfish and those Rio Grande cichlids will have a tendency to kind of bite the tail of things or the legs. So we want to keep that short so it keeps the hook near their mouth. So what I'll do is I'll take it about the length of the point of the hook. I'll take all that and I'll pinch right behind there and just pinch off that tail, right? And then there you go. That's the fly right there. It's Matt Bennett's Rio getter with my own little peacock herl wing twist. Hope that's successful for you. Again, check out the Year of the Rio on Texas Freshwater Fly Fishing. If you enjoy the videos, share them, hit the like button, subscribe to the videos. It helps me out, guys. Leave your comments, and thank you. I appreciate it. Y'all have fun. Bye.